It's midnight and we're working on a semi. But it still looks good even with boat paint. Look at that. Okay, so tonight's adventure is kind of fun because it's not life and death, which that for once is nice. And it's not something that necessarily matters. We just spent an hour and a half boosting this thing, and we think we kind of figured out. The good news is we think we kind of got it all figured out. Martin's cleaned up battery connections. We think we figured out why it wasn't charging. And this is the truck we literally painted with boat paint. And it still looks pretty dang good. You know, if you're a professional painter and you have a paint booth and you have paint that you didn't mix up on the shop floor, and you didn't shoot it with a gun you've never shot put with before, this was hot rodding at its bare bones. Mix the paint up on the floor using a gun you bought at a garage sale, just trying to make something better than what it was before. We did that. It was a wild adventure, and I have another video that we might try and put out kind of as us wrapping it up, doing the final cut and buff and buffing it out, because it actually turned out really, really well. Well, last February, me and Martin were trucking together. It's different than corn, ain't it? And the clutch went out of his truck here, and we thought we were gonna have time to go after it together. Well, we're getting into this middle of July. Martin does a lot of small grain, what do you call it? Small grain?
Yeah, small grains.
Martin's a small grain farmer, and so like your wheat and your oats, all the stuff I know nothing about. I know about hog barns, beef cows, corn and soybeans. I know nothing about wheat and oats. Hence, we did a video last year on our farmer's first time. I learned. I learned how to combine them. Anyways, we thought originally we were going to have the time to fix this, throw it in the shop, pull the tranny back, put a new clutch in it. We're just out of time, so we're going to take it to a dealer. Martin, probably in the next week and a half, is going to start combining wheat or oats. What comes first?
Rye first, then barley, and then oats.
Okay, again, stuff I know nothing about. That's why we're friends. Like, I know trucks, and he knows crops.
And I didn't have any wheat this year.
Oh, nothing? Okay.
Yeah.
And we know how to pull out straw walkers.
Yeah.
Out of a 9600. Oh.
Right from this very same spot.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, that was a crappy night. I don't want to relive it. Oh, but it got us Duke. Anyway, so the only thing we're trying to do tonight, one, the truck's been sitting in the yard here for since February, so 4 or 5 months. And to put a clutch in, you got to take the transmission out. But what makes this truck and like the trucks we run a little different, attached to the bottom of the tranny is actually this pump, and it's the hydraulic pump to run the boom or the stick for an end dump. It's what puts the box up in the air. It's what puts the box up in the air. And so there's actually, what a lot of people don't realize on trucks like this, there's a lot of different versions of oil tanks. But Martin's truck has a side tank, and it has 50 gallons of oil in it. And so literally this 55-gallon drum, that's behind me, that literally is it's hard to imagine, but that's literally what's attached to the truck going down the road every day. Knowing they got to pull that pump off basically to start the process of taking the tranny out so they get the clutch off, we're going to drain all the oil out of it tonight. So step one, fix all the little electrical gremlins that were haunting us so it'll start and drive. Step two, we're going to pump the oil out. Step three, we're going to get down to a repair shop. Step four, Eric's going to bed. All right. I wish we could switch 1 and 4, but I know ya. It's midnight and we're working on a semi. But it still looks good even with boat paint. Look at that. Not bad for two farmers that wanted to kill each other in a shop in February, right? That's a fair way to point it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a friendly
hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still friends today. It worked out. Like I said before, you gotta laugh at this stuff, otherwise it drives you crazy, right? But I'm gonna start pumping the oil out of the tank, and we're gonna get rolling here. So, heck yeah. And if you look at the gauge, we got 13 volts, which means it's starting. Then if we come out here, we're down, which I thought was really weird. And then we noticed this. and that's not supposed to be loose. You see that wire moving? So that's a really good problem to have. That's an awesome problem to have because it's a simple fix. So what we had going on is it was reading 13 volts off the alternator, but only like 12 at the batteries, and we think we figured out why. Yeah, filter cart's worth every dollar. Usually we're filling up 5-gallon buckets. I've never really filled up a 5-gallon drum or 55-gallon drum before, but you don't get to do like cool stuff like see the force of your filter cart. But that's cool. Oh, sorry, I'm easily amused, especially late at night. Oh, Martin's just cleaning up the battery cables and he's almost done. And then we get the fun adventure. So there's no clutch in this truck. It's completely out. So what we end up doing is starting the truck in gear and then driving safely. There's a reason we're doing this late at night. I mean, it's actually not that big of a deal. You just kind of glide shift all the way through and then just make sure you time your lights and stop signs really well. But yeah. So the only thing we want to make sure in this equation is usually what you got to do is shut the truck off, put it in gear, and then start the truck in gear. And so we just want to make sure everything's charging properly and the batteries are built up good enough. So if we got to shut it off like at a stop sign, that it's going to restart and when we hit the key. So what we're doing tonight is kind of important, but we're, again, just trying to get it down to repair shop to get it fixed. But yeah, everything's going in the right direction. Okay, do you know why I parked on a hill?
So you can start it when you roll down?
Yeah, I should be able to push it with the engine running. Should be able to push the brakes in, let her roll, and grab first gear and go. But yeah, stuff you do when you don't have a clutch. I gotta enjoy it. Ain't my first rodeo. Legal right now, it's on private property. When you're at a repair shop like this, does it not make you feel better when you see the long list of other equipment that needs work and it's not just your stuff that breaks?
Yeah. And that's all newer.
I know. That makes me feel really good, especially when you're at deer. Like, whoa, that tractor's worth way more than my whole line of equipment, and it should not be broke down. I bet there's an unhappy farmer around.
Yeah.
Well, all right, you really can't see me. That's all right. We just got back to the yard, but nice feeling. We got truck running. We got it charging again. It's starting again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a clutch yet, but it's at a place that they're going to put a clutch in it.
Yep.
And we're back in the yard, and I'm going to bed.
And I'm driving home and doing the same.
I don't blame you. Nice feeling though, ain't it?
Yeah.
All right, man. You have a good night, all right?
Yep.
See ya.